everybody. Today we're going to be talking about another special word. Yesterday we talked about nouns, peoples, places, things, ideas, or feelings. And today we're going to talk about a different type of speech. So let's take a look. Let's compare these two sentences. Which one gives you a better mental picture? Think about why. So, there were fireworks at Disneyland. Okay. There were bright pink fireworks at magical Disneyland. Which one gave you more, a clearer mental picture? Why? You probably said the bottom one because you could imagine the fireworks as bright and pink and Disneyland being magical. So when we use this special type of word, we're taking boring sentences and making them more colorful. When we do that, we're using adjectives. Adjectives describe the nouns that we learned about yesterday. So here we have three pictures. The picture of Disneyland on the left is the one that I was using in the example. Now we have two over here. Can you make a boring sentence that I give you a little more interesting? The boy threw coins. See if you can come up with a sentence. Pause the video and write down a more interesting sentence about the boy threw coins. Welcome back. Maybe you came up with something like, the royal boy threw shiny coins at the crowd. See how that's much more interesting and we can find out a little bit more and get a better mental picture? Let's try one more. The fish teased the shark. Okay, see if you can make it more interesting. Pause the video and write down a new, more interesting sentence. The fish teased the shark. How'd you do? Hopefully you came up with something like, the yellow and blue fish teased the mean and nasty shark. See how it tells us a little bit more about the shark and the fish? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this book. Let's make it nice and big and the right side. This is called the Bug Book, and we're going to be reading it today. Look at this cover and all the signs. Can you think of any other ways to describe these bugs? So they're described as cranky, tall, studious, happy, hungry, and this one over here is glamorous. Can you think of any ways to describe these bugs? Go ahead and take a second, pause the video, and write down how you could describe some of these bugs. Pick one or two. Maybe you describe them by color or size. Maybe you describe them by their patterns, like stripes or polka dotted. Let's go ahead and read. As we read this book, I'd like you to go ahead and write down, you can pause the video as you go, adjectives that you hear. Finally, when you're all done writing down the adjectives, I want you to go ahead and see how many you can find that end in the letters I, C, end in the letters Y, or the letter Y, and end with the letters O, U, S. So we're going to be looking for those because those are common endings to adjectives. Let's take a look. The Bug Book. This book reminds me of Dr. Seuss, even more than the last book we read. All right. Let's get this going. All right. Adjectives are awesome. There's just no doubt about it. They take a noun, any noun, and tell us more about it. These bugs will demonstrate for you just what an adjective can do. So here we can see the bugs. Awesome, terrific. This one says great, fabulous. Do you know what an adjective is? Go ahead and write down your ideas. Hopefully you do because we talked about it. Clean bug, mean bug, gigantic, friendly, green bug. So an adjective is a word that describes a noun such as bug. So clean and mean are adjectives. Can you think of some other adjectives that describe these bugs? See if you can write down some of your answers. I see one that ends in IC, gigantic. Oops. Strong bug, long bug. Annoying tag-along bug. Picky bug, sticky bug. Greedy bug, speedy bug. Lots of adjectives end in Y. How many can you think of? Pause the video for about 30 seconds and set a timer. See how many you can write down that end in Y. See? Picky, sticky, greedy, speedy, they all end in Y. So see how many you can come up with. I hope you came up with a ton. Let's keep reading. Outrageous bug, contagious bug, heroic and courageous bug. So sometimes you can make an adjective out of a noun or verb by adding some special endings like IC, OUS, ISH, or ISH, FUL, ING, AL, or ABLE. So for example, you can take the word hero, add IC, and you have heroic. Or courage and add OUS is courageous. Try to make adjectives out of these words. Write them down on your paper and then go ahead and see if you can figure out what words go with them. Humor, beauty, love, fool, magic, forgetful. Oops, I gave you one. Wish and frighten. So the hint I gave you was forget. So if you add FUL at the end, you get forgetful. See if you can come up with any others. Go ahead and pause the video. You can always rewind and watch the part to write down the ones that maybe you missed. Did you come up with some good ones? Here are some. If I have humor, I could add humorous, add OUS at the end. Beauty could become beautiful. Love might be loving. Fool might be foolish. Magic might become magical. Forget might become forgetful. Wish might be wishing, wishful. Frighten could become frightening. There's more than one way to make some of the words using those endings, but those are just some examples. Let's keep reading. Silly bug, chili bug, surprised bug, disguised bug. Gymnastic bugs, elastic bugs. Hooray for adjectives, many enthusiastic bugs. Oh, they all look so happy. So, can you think of adjectives to describe each of the bugs? Pause the video and see if you can come up with an adjective to label each of these bugs. Did you come up with some good ones? I'll bet you did. When you want to modify a noun, an adjective won't let you down. Try adding adjectives. They're incredible at making nouns unforgettable. Here we have a fantastic bug, a super bug, a marvelous bug, and an incredible bug. So let's review. An adjective is a word that modifies or describes a noun or a pronoun. So adjectives give us more information about a noun. They can tell you how many, like some bugs or 7 bugs, or what kind, a long bug or a green bug. An adjective can tell you what someone or something looks like gigantic, feels like, sticky, or acts like, friendly. An adjective can describe any quality of the noun it modifies. Lots of adjectives have common endings. Many end in the letter Y, like pretty, happy, or greedy. Sometimes you can make an adjective out of a noun or a verb by adding some endings like IC, OUS, ISH, FUL, ING, AL, or ABLE. For instance, someone who acts like a fool might be described as foolish. Sometimes a word that looks like a noun is really an adjective. For instance, a tag-along is someone who follows someone else. But in the phrase tag-along bugs, the word tag-along describes the bug. That makes it an adjective. Other examples of adjectives disguised as nouns are chocolate soda. Chocolate describes the soda. Or kitchen sink. The sink is being described by where it's at, the kitchen. You can always tell the word is an adjective if it tells you more about the noun than it modifies. All right, we're going to do a quick mystery. I'm going to take an object, and you are going to have to guess what it is by the 4 words that I show you. So the 4 words are tiny, squirmy, furry, and gray. So the 4 adjectives, see if you can think about what it might be. Tiny, squirmy, furry, and gray. All right. Did you write down your answer? I hope you did. Did you guess that it's Houdini, my pet gerbil? He's tiny, squirmy, furry, and gray. Hello, Houdini. Take a moment and watch this video. Pause my video when you're done watching. All right, we're back. Let's talk a little bit more about adjectives. So one thing you should know about adjectives is they have shades of meanings. Synonyms are words that mean the same, but with an adjective, shades of meaning means there's a different intensity of the word. So happy isn't quite as intense as glad or delighted, elated, overjoyed, ecstatic. See how it gets more progressively happy as we go along? So here we have, I believe it's Doug the dog, and Doug he's happy, but I don't know, Pooh Bear is looking kind of glad or delighted. Oh, here we have from Frozen. She's elated or maybe overjoyed, and I don't know, but this character from Princess and the Frog sure looks like she's ecstatic. So remember that adjectives can show shades of meaning, so you want to pick really good ones in your writing. All right, comparative adjectives. If you have a word and it has 1 syllable, like long, all you're going to do is add ER to it, or R if the word already ends in an E. So like the word large, you'd only add the R, which makes large larger. And so think about 1 syllable. Remember, you can always use the clapping signal, right? Long. Let's try 2 syllables. Honest. Well, it ends, honest, ends in an EST. It's not honester. We're going to say more honest. Something like happy ends in a Y. So we're going to change that to an I and add ER. So happy turns into happier. How about when it ends in something like LEER or OW? Well, then we use the word more in front of it. How about if it has 3 syllables or more? Like expensive. Well, then it's more expensive. How about popular? Popular. More popular. Difficult. More difficult. There's always irregular adjectives too. Sometimes it's just not right to say gooder or manier, right? Or more many. So we want to just use the irregular form. So good becomes better, bad becomes worse, far becomes farther, far becomes further, little becomes lesser, and many might become more. Or sorry, not lesser, less. All right, so let's look at something else. So comparative is saying one thing in compared to another. So it's not long, it's longer. It's not tall, it's taller. Let's look at comparative versus superlative. So comparative makes the fast bike into a faster car. And finally, the fastest plane. So we have superlatives, which is another type. Superlative shows the most or the least. It usually ends in an EST. But if it ends in an E, all we do is add ST. What if it ends in a Y? Well, change it to I and add EST. Let's look at some examples. So, for example, long becomes longest. But if it ends in an E, like the word large, you just add the ST, largest. How about ends in a Y, like the word crazy. Well, crazy would become craziest. Sometimes there's irregular ones, like good becomes the best, bad becomes the worst, far becomes farthest, or it becomes furthest. Little becomes the least, and many becomes most. Another thing we need to know about adjectives is there is an order of adjectives. So there's first something called the determiner. Those are words like a, the, this, these, that, and those. That always comes first. So I can have a suitcase. But let's make it more interesting than that. Let's add an opinion. So, for example, the chair, an ugly chair. All right, but what if we want to add a size? That would come next, an ugly small chair. What if we want to add a shape, like an ugly small round chair? Well, then we need to add an age, like new or old. An ugly small round new chair. I could add a color, an ugly small round new brown chair. Let's add where it was made. Maybe it's made in Germany, so it would be German. An ugly, small, round, new, brown German chair. What if I want to add a material, what it's made out of? An ugly, small, round, new, brown German wooden chair. What if it's got a certain place it goes, like the kitchen? I would have an ugly, small, round, new, brown German wooden kitchen chair. Now, we're not going to usually use all of those, but just like this picture, we need to make sure that the ones we use are in the correct order. For example, saying a red small suitcase would not be correct, but a small red suitcase would be because it's in the correct order of adjectives. Usually if you say it out loud, you should be able to pick out the order. All right, now it's time for you to practice. So I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, I did miss this slide, so let's talk about this one. Antonyms. So antonyms are in adjectives are the opposite of what you're describing. So, for example, we have two pictures of two characters from Snow White. So this character might be old and she might be young. Those would be antonyms. Or ugly and beautiful. Can you come up with any others? Take a second and see if you can come up with some sort of describing difference between Zeus and Hades here from Hercules. Maybe you came up with something like jolly and angry. Or maybe you came up with something like purple and blue. Or maybe black. You can use these kinds of words to show differences between things, people, and places, as well as feelings and ideas. Now it's your turn to practice. In this Go Buggy paragraph, use the underline where you highlight and then click the underline to show adjectives in the paragraph. Do you know a special bug who could use a good time? Well, the bug is described by the word special, so I would underline it. Go ahead and do the rest. You want to find 13 more in this paragraph. On this page, adjectives all around, you're going to be looking at the sentence below and underlining every adjective you see. Remember, an adjective is a word that modifies or describes a noun or pronoun. On this page, you're going to read the sentences below. Drag the circle to circle the noun that each underlined adjective modifies. So what is it describing? When they brought out the giant cake, all the bugs were happily surprised. What does giant describe? When you figure that out, come down here and you can go ahead and circle the word that giant is describing. Continue with 6 and 7. On the last page here, you're going to read the sentences below. Sound boring? Add some adjectives to each sentence to make it more detailed and interesting. Type your new sentences here. So the bugs played music. Go ahead and change it. The centipedes wore shoes. Type that sentence and then continue to add adjectives. And the beetles spilled a drink on the rug. See what kind of adjectives you can you can add here to maybe describe the beetle, the drink, or the rug. Maybe all three. When you're done, make sure you go ahead and turn this in Google Classroom. If you have any questions, make sure you ask. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully we'll see you next time.